everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of DottsMediaHouse, the platform where we collaborate with key stakeholders in the industry to drive meaningful conversations around creatives. DottsMediaHouse is an asset of Dottrin, the academy where creatives learn, collaborate, and upskill. Both DottsMediaHouse and Dottrin are assets of DottsMediaHouse, the media firm for leading brands across Africa. My name is Omololamo. Welcome to the culture of creatives. On the show today, I have the most beautiful guests. Our guest on the show is a strategist with over 25 years of experience in the industry. She has led growth for global brands such as Visa, Microsoft, and Google. Ladies and gentlemen, join me as I make welcome Napa Onwusah. The show today will be discussing something very exciting, and this is for all young creatives and young professionals. We're going to be talking about different habits that both young creatives and professionals can cultivate to build a very successful career, right? And seeing that you have over 25 years of experience in this industry, I want to know, what were the habits that you cultivated, while starting up, that you would say has, brought you to this stage that you are right now?
So before we talk about habits, if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about values, because now in this current climate, sometimes the economic situation can make it feel like you're getting a job because you're getting a job, because you want to get paid. Sometimes is what is coming through in our culture, right? Mm-hmm. And because of that value set, people don't approach the jobs they have or the entrepreneurial journeys they're on with a lot of curiosity. And that then now feeds into not having the diligence to actually come to work every day and get stuff done. Mm-hmm. So some of the habits I've cultivated is because the jobs I had was so interesting. I was so engaged in kind of growing and learning that being able to put the little things in place helped me. Number one, starting your day, making sure that you have a list of things of what you need to get done that day. Right? Yeah. Some people do it with digital tools. Some people do it writing. However,
some people take mental notes.
Some people, no mental notes.
Oh, okay.
No mental notes. That's not a good habit. You have to, as a good professional, build what I call a second brain. Your second brain drives your habits. So things you need to get done, you need to take it out of your head and put it somewhere that allows you to be accountable. Okay. So that's why I said it could be a digital tool, it could be written, but you have to kind of write it down, right? Yeah. And then you're looking at email etiquette or communication etiquette, because we must be honest, for some creatives, a lot of their communication happens on WhatsApp, it happens on Instagram, and that's okay. Yeah. But you have to make sure that you understand how you communicate effectively using those methods. Being able to be concise, but very clear. We used to use, in my time, a lot of scripts. You would have email templates, communication scripts. You kind of have to have that down pat. So making sure that you know how to open a message, put the information in the middle and close it out. So again, once I kind of map out my day or what I need to get done today, the next thing I do is I would look at all the things I need to communicate about. As a leader, it's a bit different because you set the tone of the team, you set the tone of the business. But if you're an individual contributor, there's still things you need to get done. Right? And then I would say the third thing is making excellence a habit. So even though sometimes you're overwhelmed with work, which happens a lot, especially in the remote world or hybrid world where you're kind of consuming a lot of tasks, I would say make sure that you have put things in place so that you always write a good email, you always have a good call with a customer, you're always communicating and showing up in a way that people know that when you come and step in, you're always going to put your best foot forward. So that's the third habit, the habit of excellence in all you do.
Thank you very much. I particularly liked what you said about having a second brain. And when you were talking, I chipped in taking mental notes, right? And I know that you flagged that already. But the truth of the matter is that we have some young professionals now that even though they understand that they have to create a routine for themselves, it's not something that they write out per se, whether on a physical paper or just they take digital note of it. What they just do is to take mental note. Oh, today I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. You've said it's not good, but I want you to shed more light on it as to why you don't really go for that kind of, And
I like the fact we don't agree, because sometimes you do get pushback on these kind of things. The reason why it's good to write down or have something that captures it is because we need to measure. This is just it. So you find a lot of times, like I had a board meeting today, and the secretary sent me an email with the details of the meeting, right? And I didn't understand why it wasn't in calendar, because I shouldn't have to remember it. I've noticed this a lot with creatives, because I have a creative platform called Contestify.io. And on Contestify, the creatives that we work with, they will send me a meeting on WhatsApp. And then it just happened today, actually. We scheduled a meeting for 10:30, told the person to send it into calendar. The person said, I will remember, put a reminder on their phone, and then said my reminder didn't go off on my phone, and then they forgot. So the reason you need to remember excellence as a habit, the reason you need to take it out of your head is so that your head can be used for creative pursuits. But when you have things you need to remember in your head, you would find yourself saying a lot, oh my God, I can't believe I missed the meeting. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to communicate with my customer. So we haven't even gone into we haven't left note taking. We haven't even gone into managing your customers, because you need to have a way that you have a list of your customers, right? I have a creative that I work with. She makes amazing, amazing scents and perfumes. The way she combines scents is just phenomenal. But she doesn't know when I purchase from her. She doesn't know if I purchase in cycles of 6 weeks, 2 months. She doesn't know how to upsell to me. She doesn't know which scents I've bought in the past and which notes can you see how these kind of automation and it will change your trajectory, honestly. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that response. Absolutely love it. So I want us to touch on this thing that you said about, writing or taking digital notes. This conversation is for young creatives and professionals. And these are people who are really interested in, what they can easily type on their phones and all of that. For you, which one would you say is best? Even though, yes, the two can be recommended, but which one would you say is best? Is it, of course, it's very easy to pick your phone and just type on it. And, getting a notepad and writing, which one would you say works best for you? For me. Which one would you recommend to, anyone out there?
So what I would say is, there is an age you get to, you must be very self-aware. You must understand yourself very well. On top of that understanding, the goal of note-taking or keeping things out of your head is not because one is trying to frustrate you. It's so you don't forget things. It's so that you can follow up. We haven't even gotten into data analysis, being able to look at certain things your customers or your vendors or your partners are doing that allows you to make better decisions. What I do for meetings that are very crucial, I use, especially for virtual meetings, I use note takers. Right? There are many. There's Farfam, there is read.ai, there are quite a number. Okay. Yes. But I always write in my notebook. And the reason I write, even though the AI note taker is helping me, is because there's a lot of nuance in that meeting. So when you are trying to keep everything in your head, naturally you'll forget things. I don't know how many times you've watched a very interesting movie that you want to watch a second time, and then you're like, oh, I didn't realize that happened. Yeah. That's what mental notes is doing to your life, is you don't realize a lot of what's happening. So what I do in my notes is I would notice that somebody's maybe keeps their camera off, or when they're speaking and somebody else speaks, that the first person stops talking. So there's a power connection happening there. You're noting nuances. You're noting your own perceptions, your insights in your notebook, right? So for me, I use both. And in physical meetings, I always take my notebook. Even though we're in a digital era, I'm sure you guys can feel sometimes disrespected when somebody's on their phone. And then you will now ask sometimes, why are you on your, say, I'm taking notes. And you don't even realize it, but you'll say, am I sure they're taking notes? So it's a sign of respect. But two, it allows me to kind of process the information. And I find I remember more of what happened in a meeting or in a conversation when I write it down.
I just have a lot of things playing in my head. Now, don't you think that there are some kind of, there's another question I want to ask, but this first. Don't you think that there are actually some kind of meetings that you would enter and you know that, no, this is a no, you can't carry a book and a pen there. Just take note on your phone because of the nature of that kind of meeting. Are there exceptions like that?
I wouldn't say, how I would say it is, as you are self-aware, so you know the way you can capture this information and use the information for good, whether it's writing digital notes, because all of us are different. Some people draw. In my notes, I draw a lot. With you as well.
I sketch.
You sketch, especially if it's an idea that they're explaining to you. You're drawing the idea so you know yourself, one. Two, what is the goal of the meeting, right? You also have to be aware of what you're coming out with. There's some meetings that I have to be honest, you have to package, if you get. So maybe the packaging is your Mac, and you're coming in with your dongle, or you're coming in with, all those kind of things. You need to package, right? But even though the meeting is requiring that, you still have to make sure that you're capturing all your notes. Okay? I know some other people that, for some of my customers, very high profile people, they are always very respectful when they see my note and my pen. They feel I am bringing my full self. But for some technology meetings, if they don't see my Mac and they don't see all my other tech gadgets, they just feel, who is this one? So as you're going in, make sure you are mirroring. It's something we learn in sales very early. You mirror your customer to give your client, not only customer, but like the person you're meeting with, the most comfort so that they can give you as much information as possible. But you still need to make sure you go out with your own perspective. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. So, for all young creatives and professionals watching us out there, just take note of whatever meeting you are entering into requires. Be self-aware, be aware of your environment, and with that, you're able to know how to take your notes and how not to take it. You understand? I have a final question for us to wrap up this phase of the conversation. This is a conversation for creatives. And you know that as creative people, we take note of everything and anything at all. Now, this question is for you. What are those things that you take note of? We've talked about meetings. Yeah. But of course, there are like different things that we see around us and we just feel like, oh, this is what's penning down. I want to pen this down. I'll use myself as an example of recent. Whenever I watch movies, what I do is whenever I listen to songs and I hear a line that I really like, I just write it down. But now when I watch movies, I find myself, this girl said this. I'm going to write it down. Oh, this person said, I'm going to write this down. So what are those things that you take note of apart from meetings and all of those, very corporate stuff?
Okay. I'm so happy you said this, because I say every single creative should have a book. I call my book my little book of big ideas. That's what I call my book. I have a book I print every single year that has this kind of information. I take note of every single thing. I take note of, I work with startups a lot. So there's this lovely website. I think I just did an article for them, or I was featured in an article. It's called Startup Graveyard. So it talks about how startups failed. I take note. Yeah, take note of it. Take note of music. So, really where music is moving into, you take note of art. My daughter just went to an art gallery where they were making art out of spoons. So she and I had a conversation about reimagining a lot of the famous art, but in an African setting. So you note it down. So what I will encourage a creative to do is that whatever moves you, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's technology, make sure you note it down. You see this thing with the mental remembrance, it doesn't work, because when I go through my book of big ideas, my little book of big ideas, I always see something that ignites. And you just notice it, right? I don't believe. Then another thing I would encourage people to write down is names of companies. So I would be having a conversation with someone. I'll say, oh, that's a great name for a company. And it would lift and leave me. I write it down. So I have sections in my exercise book, and I measure a lot of my creative processes by, number one, how many ideas I capture throughout the year. And I hope everybody has an end of year reflective exercise. And it's not just whether you attained your goals, but whether you live life in a way that you could say, I enjoyed 80% of what I did in the year. Yeah. So I review that. And the second thing I review in my book is like, how many of my ideas actually did I use? There was something my son and I did at a point. We'll take a walk every evening and we'll say, let's notice something new about the same environment we walk through. And then we'll note it down. So you as a creative, you should look for those moments to really ignite. But there's no point igniting if you don't note and then review at the end at some point.
I really, really love this conversation, and I know we are running out of time on this particular question, but one last one, I promise. Now, there's also this thing. I mean, I was in a conversation with a group of creatives a while back, and we were having this conversation about people who even write things down don't remember to go back to it. And when we had that conversation, it felt like the person who said that was right, because we didn't really have any pushback from every other person that said, oh, write things down. So do you think that it is true that it's okay that you love to write things down, but do you remember to go back to it? Is it a thing with creatives? How can creatives overcome this particular barrier of not being able to go back to what they have written down? And, they are just scribbling things, they're just moving on, and they forget about whatever it is that they have written in the past. What do you have to say to that?
I would say that you need to have moments of reflection. So I do the following reflection points. I have an end of day reflection point. You close out your day, right? My reflection is 3 things that I wish I could have done better. 2 things on that day. 2 things I did really well. And then 1 thing I'm hoping or I'm praying for God to do the next day, right? This kind of helps you process your day. So you are not just in constant motion. Now, at the end of the month, I check in with my overall goals. Okay. And this is kind of like the things I want to achieve within a 12, 18 month, because I do not believe in New Year's resolutions. No. I mean, it's really a waste of space. Not for people that have New Year's resolutions. I'm not shading you. But, and then at the end of the month, you kind of check in with your goals. Now, at the end of every quarter, 3-month cycles, that is where you have a retreat with yourself. If you can't find the time for 3 hours or 4 hours or a full day, take out 2 hours. You start with looking at your vision for your life. Some people can vision 15 years ahead, 10 years, 5 years. Currently, I'm in a cycle of 3 years. I just came off a 10-year cycle. So I'm doing 3 years now, because there are quite a number of major, what I call transformational shifts, which is where you're moving more than 25% in certain areas of your life. You do that. You look at where you've captured a lot of your ideas. For me, I spend a lot of time in prayer. So I model several kings in the Old Testament that when they would hear news, before they acted on it, they'll bring it to God. So I always bring my vision, my plans, everything. And I'm saying, Father, if you don't want me to do this, I will shift direction. And I pray about a lot of things. So I think the challenge isn't in the writing, is not in the capturing, is not having enough reflection points. That allow you to kind of see how far you've come, where you want to go to, look at your behaviors. Have I changed in any significant way? I'm hoping that every year, towards the end of the year, you do 16 personalities. You kind of check in. Who am I? What am I? What's going on with my life? And then I align it with the word of God and make sure that I am in God's plan. So the problem isn't creatives having great ideas, is that there are no reflection points and there's no, okay, I've noticed that I've had an idea about maybe a certain way to do digital art and it's dropped like 3-4 times. I'm going to put in 15 minutes every week to learn more about that. And that is how you transform and that's how you grow.
Absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Napa. For everybody watching us out there, you've heard from our guest. It's not enough for you to take note of things. It's also great for you to reflect, because that's where the real transformation happens. Thank you so much, Napa. It's been an amazing session with you already. My next question is about remote workers. You know how every young creative is even striving to start working remotely, because it looks like that's where life is. That's where you can do your work and also have time to yourself and all of that. But what do you really think about working remotely? Do you think that, what are the negative effects of remote working, and what would you say are the positive effect of, remote working when it comes to young creatives?
I'm so conflicted on this topic because I'm a founder and we are predominantly remote. But even me, I've had to insist that we have some moments where we come together. And whenever we come together, the culture is reinforced and then there's more interaction between everybody. But also, because of remote work, there are lots of people that are now able to do 3-4 jobs at the same time. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing. Like, people are doing multiple jobs at the same time.
What do you think about that?
Sorry?
Very quickly, what do you think about that?
I actually think it's unavoidable. So and again, founders, don't beat me, but in B4B Partners, our revenue consulting, we have some people that are doing more than one job, and I'm aware of it. I know about it, right? So if the culture permits, then you can disclose. So if it's a healthy culture, so we're a very performance-driven culture, we are more like work time flexible. So if you take 3 hours to complete what you need to do for the day, nobody's chasing you for the rest of the hours. And if it takes you a longer time, but not all organizations are like this, especially startups where the founders may not have had a lot of experience in the corporate world. And they think you need to have a 3-hour meeting every day to be harassing people's lives and looking for somebody's child to be oppressing, you know. But this is what I'll say. I like hybrid work because spending a lot of time traveling to and fro a point is not productive. Like if it takes you 2 hours to get to work or an hour to get to work and come back, what's the point? I still think there needs to be human interaction, like physical interaction. So it's to find out how best to do that, maybe once a quarter and so on and so forth. The second thing is the leadership needs to make sure people understand very clearly what they're supposed to deliver. Very clearly. I use the OKR system that was established by Google. It's a very powerful system that helps employees and team members know exactly what needs to be delivered. Like for us, your OKRs take, I think, 30%, task performance takes another percentage. It's very clear. Like as you are working, you already know what you're going to end up and reward performance. So I think if you put that in place, if somebody isn't keeping up, it's very easy for not only you to see, but the rest of the team. And then making sure you do check-ins. We do pulse checks a lot in the team. We do temperature checks. We have something called flexi days where you can take a long weekend off. You can either take a Friday or a Monday, so you can take time to kind of decompress. Because remote work, you end up sometimes working straight 18 hours just because there's no end and start
because there's no break in between.
There's nothing.
And I feel like that's something that people miss a lot. The advantage to remote working is there, but sometimes you just find out that you are just seated somewhere like throughout the day. You are not able to move around. You're not able to interact with people. You are just working. I do hybrid work, but I always tell anybody that cares to listen that, see, I prefer coming to the office. Let me come to the office. Let me see people. Let me interact with my teammates. Let's laugh. Let's talk. Let's do things together. But when I'm at home, I can only hear their voices. I don't even know where anybody in particular is. I don't know if the person is actually doing the work the way it's supposed to do. And speaking for myself too, I realize that I end up spending the whole day working. Sometimes I even forget to eat. Sometimes I forget to do like things for my own personal self. I'm just working. So, I mean, you've heard it from Napa. When it comes to remote working, the advantages are there are the disadvantages. But for you as a young professional, it's also very important for you to know when to do what you need to do. When it's time for you to get up from that seat, get up from it and interact with people. Go outside and touch grass. That's what people want to do. Go outside and touch grass. Yeah, thank you so much for that insightful contribution. All right, so I want us to talk about professional networking. In your experience, how would you say building a professional network can help with creatives at this time?
So, networking is a word that I'm now so careful around or about because it's been so misused. When I go to events these days, you'll see people that maybe may want to connect with me. They come up to me and they want to network. There's a lot of small talk. There is something I believe that relationships are built, they're not borrowed and they're not earned. And how you build the relationships, you build by showing up, giving value and building trust. So when you think of your professional network, it should be a group of people that you have given value. And because of that value, you've built trust with them. And at some point, they've also given you value. Because there's no point knowing somebody if the person doesn't remember you or struggles to understand what you do or can't even articulate the value you bring. So I call it a connection muscle. You have to actually build that muscle. And the reason you need the muscle is because I think it was a study by LinkedIn that said at least 70% of roles are filled through connections, like people you know. And I have to be clear on that percentage. But you see that knowing people makes the world go round. But knowing people isn't just knowing like their name or they know you, or networking, or harassing people at mixers and events. But it's really about that value. So it's so important too, because there's something I believe in very strongly. I believe in the principle of 1 degree of separation, that there are people between you and someone else. So we've done it before where I ask somebody, tell me the most impossible person to reach, and they'll give me a name, and I'll be like, let me look through my network, and I can get 1, 2 hops, or 1, 2, 3 hops, or sometimes 1 hop to that person. But the reason that person can introduce me is because I have shown up, I have given value. And I have built trust. So I think we should think of your network in that way. And if you do it that way, when you meet people, you're always asking very open-ended questions to find out, like, how can I bring value into this relationship instead of always taking?
So I'm picking up from where you left it. How do you think young people can actually give value to whoever it is they want to network with? Because mentioning this event thing, I know it's a thing where young people just go to events. They know that, oh, somebody is speaking here. Napa will be at this event. She's speaking. Oh, I want to meet Napa. I want her to give me a job and all of that. Yes, you want Napa to give you a job, but have you thought of those things that Napa would also request from you as value exchange? So what are those things that you also look out for when it comes to, young people trying to network with you?
The first thing is research, right? Do you really think I will add value if I'm part of your network? Don't always think of the person's position or their level. No. Looking at me and looking at my background and all the people you're seeing I know, will I really add value to you? If we can get past the razzmatazz and the paparazzi of it all and ask yourself, they always say this elevator pitch. If you're in an elevator with Tony Elumelu, and I'm like, no, first, looking at him, how does he add value if he joins your network? I think research is good. Then after you've done the research, you now have to figure out, how can I add value to this person that I've identified is a value add to my network? And then once you've identified that, and there are many ways, I have people that have reached out to me in LinkedIn DMs and sent me an interesting article, sent me something, because they've done the research, right? That really, this person is valuable, will add value to me. And they've said, oh, Napa, I see you're doing this event. Can I volunteer? They're looking for how to add value. And in adding the value, they always bring that spirit of excellence. So without even thinking about it, I'm looking for, how can I support this person? See, the thing is, the higher you go in life, the more you want to pour out. It's standard. If you go to a good leader, like a good leader, a good person that has spent a lot of years, you're always looking for somebody that you can pour into, that you can give to. So once you see that spirit of excellence, you're like, wow, I really like how this person moves. And then the person reaches out and says, hey, Napa, I want to know if I can have it. Oh, you're on it. You're going to jump on it. Can you help? You're on it. Because you've seen the person in action. So I recommend this highly. But before you reach out to the person, make sure the person can add value. And just as an addition, what is the person's role that you would give them in what I call your advisory board? So the same way you have a business and they have a group of people that come together every quarter to advise the business, I have an advisory board of people whose voices I really respect. On that board, I have mentors, people that have gone ahead of me. I love the way they've gone ahead. And I want to kind of emulate that. Coaches, people that may not have gone ahead, but my gosh, they help me break down a problem and help me learn or position to solve it. And then you will now have your sponsors, people that are in rooms that you don't have access to. So you can see now it becomes such an intentional network building you're doing, as opposed to just showing up at an event and then
somebody popular is
popular, thank you. And maybe popular with no substance, so let's be honest.
You get, so you really said something that, is very interesting today. When people want to network, they look at it as, oh, I just want to join the circle of this person. I want to know this person. I want to get this person's contact. But do young creatives actually really sit down to think of it? This person, yes, it's Tony Elumelu. Oh, this person is Napa. Does she really add value to me? Like where I am, at this stage of my career or at this stage of my
Exactly.
life? Can Napa fit into some of the things that I need? People just hear names and they just feel like, oh, I want to be in the circle of this person. I want to be close to this person and all of that. So that's a very, very insightful contribution that you gave. It's the first time I'm hearing it, really. Maybe I know it, but it's really the first time somebody is saying it out loud that, oh, you really need to know the value. The person who you want to network with is also adding to you.
Honestly.
Whether the person is even here and you are here, you need to know the reason why you want to connect with that person.
100%.
Very insightful. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's talk about creating and sustaining momentum in your career. What are those things that you do that are very intentional when it comes to building momentum and also sustaining the momentum in your career? I would really like to know.
So the momentum is almost aligned with growth. It means that you are growing, correct? And not only are you growing, but you are seeing the results of that growth. Momentum doesn't necessarily mean you're now a leader, which is not, I don't think it's a thing in this generation, but you guys correct me if I'm wrong. In my generation, it was a big thing. You wanted to become a people manager. So what I would recommend is, regardless of whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you have a 9-to-5, is you should have a personal development plan. A personal development plan looks at where you want to be in terms of your career. And don't think of title. Don't think of position. Think of capacity. What do you want to be able to do at that point? So, for example, for me, before I took on my first leadership role, I wanted to be able to solve complex business challenges that impacted various markets. That involved quite a number of different skills. Then based on that goal, you will write down your skills and you assess yourself against the skills. Where are you lacking? Where are you not lacking? People find it very strange, but I do an internship every 2 years at the level I'm at, because I've understood that doing an internship helps me learn critical skills in a way that doing a course may not allow me to. So that personal development plan is what you use. That is what defines the habits and the kind of intentionality. So I just had a call, honestly, with someone today, and the person said they want to get hired by global tech. And I said, why? And he could not respond. So I said, this is a red flag for me. What is your career plan? He didn't have one. What is your personal development plan? He didn't have one as well. And he said he just wants to work for Google. And I said, every year Google gets 3 million plus applications, including the year I was hired. And still I was hired. It takes very intentional behavior to work in those kind of organizations. And it takes you being better than the 99% of the world, because it's a very small percentage of people. So that means that you have to think of your growth in a way that whatever stage you're at, you are able to not only compete, but be head and shoulders above the people that are beside you. And that means you are constantly growing. So when it comes to career, I say, put the titles aside, it will come. Focus on growth. Growth. And focus on complexity of skills. So you'll see somebody that's at a management level putting office suite as one of their skills. No, at that level, you shouldn't be talking about those kind of skills. You're going to be talking about cross-cultural communication. You're going to be talking about coaching, mentoring. There's a different skill set. So always understanding where your next level is, what the skills should be, and then what's the gap between that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Napa. I also want to know, I mean, you've hit over 25 years in the industry, and I know you are still going, you are as active as ever, but do you really think that there will be a stage where creatives will get in live and that will be something I want to call their peak? For example, I've spent 30 years in this industry. Let me take the back seat and start grooming, young people. Do you think there's anything such as the peak for creative people?
I generally don't think there's a peak for anybody. I'm actually worried if somebody said they peaked or they're planning to peak at, because I'm pivoting into another area, very exciting for me, that I don't know anything. And I had my first training 2 days ago, and I'm entering another internship. Right? So I wouldn't say peak. I would say stalled. Maybe you want to stall for a minute, or you want to take a break, maybe rejuvenate, or you want to get more creative juices. But I have a philosophy in life. I believe if you're not growing, you're dying. Like, honestly, if you are not growing. But people think growth is only in one line. And if I draw a career path or even a life path, it's never a straight, it's never a ladder. It's like this. This happens. Maybe a young woman got married and she started a job as an assistant manager, and she gets pregnant and she decides to slow. Life happens.
Yeah.
But if you are not growing, I'm very concerned, because that means technically you're dying. And that's why you see some people that are maybe in their 60s, when young people bring out an email or they bring out a tech gadget, they'll start pointing at it. Open my phone for me. No. Do it yourself. You're learning, you're growing. That's the kind of thing. So it's like AI. People are very scared about AI, but I test a new AI tool every single week. It's very interesting for me because I'm growing, I'm learning. So embracing growth, embracing learning as something that is part of life. Like, you're going to continue doing it. Even if by God's almighty grace, if I live to 100 or Jesus tarries, I'm going to still be learning, I'll still be a vibe. So that's my plan. I don't believe in that peaking. No.
Yeah. I love it. Now, you've heard from Napa. As creatives, there's no peak for us. We can just, take a break and we resume back to what we love to do best. There's really no, I'm done with this, I'm not doing it again. There's no peak. You just keep learning, keep growing, and keep transforming yourself. Thank you so much. That was very, very, very nice. Hi guys, so this is the segment where we build the perfect cocktail. I get to ask Napa some questions. She gives her answer. I give my own answers too, and you will be the judge of who was able to build the perfect cocktail. So let's get into it. So my first question is, you need to tell me a foundational skill or mindset that you think every young professional needs.
Resilience and a growth mindset.
You want to give?
Resilience is every time you get knocked down, you get back up. Every time you hear a no, you still go back, right? Growth mindset is, in a sentence, I don't know this yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so for me, I'm going to say every young creative needs to have an audacious mindset, that I can do it mindset, that obstacle is the way mindset, that where there is problem, go, that's where I want to enter because I have the solution, I carry the solution with me. So every young creative needs to have that audacious, I can do it mindset. That's it for me. Thank you so much, Napa. So the second question, what is one key habit or a daily action that adds flavor to your career path? So you need to tell me one key habit or one daily action that you do that you'd say has added flavor to your career path.
One key thing I do is pray and study my Bible. One key habit. And then one key action I take is plan and review my day.
Okay. For me, I'm going to say one habit that I have cultivated over time is to always learn something new, no matter how small. Today, I have learned a lot of things, right? If I did not learn anything within the four walls of my organization, trust me, when I'm going home, I'm going to hear something new. And learning something new does not necessarily mean, like the entire A to Z of a book or something.
100%.
It can just be something that somebody would say, it's your
Yes,
first
yes.
time hearing it, and you're like, what's that about? What does that mean? So that's one thing that, that's one key habit that I have cultivated. And one daily action that adds flavor to my career path is I ask a lot of questions. Sometimes I know the answer, but I just want to know what the person thinks or how the person is going to answer it. So I ask a lot of questions. I just want to know what is going through your head. I want to know how you are seeing that thing. And I'm not also afraid to say what you have said makes sense. I take it, or I don't really agree. You know what? Let me just take 50. That should be remaining 50. So yeah, that's one thing that I also do that I know has added to my career path. The last question is, what is the extra something you can do? What is the extra something you can do that makes a lasting impression?
On people?
Yeah, like what's that extra thing you can do to create lasting impression on people in your career path?
This is an interesting one. I think maybe let me talk a bit about one philosophy I have. I believe that people are essentially self-involved. Yes. You are very much concerned about yourself. So when you want to build a connection in a short amount of time and make the person remember you, you focus on them. So you ask them questions. And I'll give an example. We had a finance controller that was very, very difficult for the salespeople to work with because she used to put a lot of pressure on us. And we had dinner and everybody was trying to flow with her and all that. And I was just like, people generally are very self-involved. I don't want to use the word selfish. That's why I'm using a very politically correct term, self-involved. And I started asking her about her flight. What movie did you watch? And she said, is that really relevant? And I said, no, tell me. And she told me, and then she said she really liked something else. And we spoke about her and only her for 45 minutes. And from then on, whenever I got on a sales call and I was having a very difficult time, she would leap to my defense. So understanding that people are very much self-involved and tapping into that. And once you find something about them that is unique, you add value to that thing and they will love you forever.
And people always love talking about themselves. Like,
100%.
And the reason why I'm like this is because I have an answer that contradicts what you just
Please
said.
Go ahead. Please go ahead. I like the fact we're contradicting each other.
I'm going to say it anyway, but I can explain. So I think that one extra thing that you can do to create a lasting impression on people is to blow your trumpet. Let me put it that way. Don't keep quiet about what you know. And I'm not saying this in a negative light. I'm saying this about we have so many talented young professionals out there, creative people out there that they are just in the corners of their homes, like, oh, somebody's already doing it, don't let me do it. Oh, somebody's already saying this thing, don't let me say this thing. But they forget that whether or not somebody's already saying it, there's a way you can also say this thing that would be interesting to people, that people would want to hear. So I always say that to leave a lasting impression on people, when it comes to that extra thing that you can do, don't keep quiet about what you know. If you're in a meeting, yes, you have your bosses there, you have top people there, everybody's talking, you're not really sure if you want to contribute or not. Don't keep quiet. Say whatever it is that is on your mind. You'll be shocked that it might even be your idea that they would eventually go ahead with. If they don't go ahead with your idea from cover to cover, they would refine it, but at least they know that, oh, this thing came from this person. So I always say that as young professionals, don't keep quiet about what you know. Blow your trumpet. And I think just some days ago, I was reading a book, Still Like an Artist, and the author was talking about how even sometimes when you say some things that you know, you would even learn from the feedback that you get from people, because you would have kept that thing with you so much so that you think that's like the beginning and the end of that thing. Meanwhile, it is when you put it out there that you now start hearing diverse contributions from people or diverse perspectives and all of those things. So that's one extra thing that I know that creatives can also do to help their career path. So with that, we've come to the end of the perfect cocktail. She wins.
No, you win. I actually like your cocktail. I think mine was a bit too practical, because when I listened to yours, audacious, all of that, I was just like, wow, I'm feeling inspired. But the only thing I would say is at the end, a lot of people are blowing trumpets and there's no air inside. There's very little content. And another thing is there are skills that we have lost because of hybrid and remote work that people build in an organization. So the ability to represent your ideas in a correct way. So I was usually in rooms where I was either the only, in fact, I was always the only Nigerian. If I'm the only African, if I wasn't the only African, there'll be like two of us. I was usually the only black female. I was always the only. And when I started, I didn't know how to present my ideas in a way that somebody couldn't hijack, because I'll say it without confidence. And I didn't understand it was actually a skill you had to learn. So as much as you're blowing your trumpet, there's some things you put in place. There's some methodologies you can use. If you don't know, the STAR methodology is one. You state the situation, the task, the action, and the result. It's a clear way to be able to present your ideas. So being able to present your idea in a way that nobody else will take it, because it happened to me once. I was in a meeting and I said an idea and somebody came with a really strong American accent and he said he took it away. But now I've learned how to do that. So there are things that can help you, but make sure you have content before you blow.
Very important.
Honestly.
Very important. I didn't say it because I thought it was a general knowledge, but I love that we are talking about it now. Please don't blow empty trumpets. Ensure you have content. I don't know why Pastor Nat keeps coming to mind. You know, what you're talking about trumpet. Imagine Pastor Nat blowing empty trumpet, or he doesn't know how to blow it and he's just, just blowing whatever into the air and all of that. I don't know why that was coming to my mind, but anyhow, yeah, the conversation here is that even as creatives, yeah, talk about what you do, but ensure that you are not saying things that don't exist, or you're not saying things that you cannot back up with your skills. Ensure you blow a trumpet with content. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining today's episode of Dottering Pod. I mean, I had a very, very, very insightful session with our guest, Napa Onwusah, and I'm very sure that you also had an insightful session as well. Don't forget everything that we've discussed on the show today. As creatives, ensure you have a second brain, please. Don't take mental note and feel like, oh, that's the end to it. Ensure you add value when you're networking. Don't just go to people because you feel like, oh, this person is popular, I want to be in this person's circle, I want this person to know me. Ensure that you're adding value to the person that you want to network with. Also look at the person that you're trying to network with. Does that person add value to you, or how does that person add value to you? You know, networking should go both ways and not necessarily the way people do it now, where, oh, sir, I can work for your company, oh, sir, I know this, I know that. That's sad that you're talking to. How does he also add value to you? Don't also forget the place of God. I know that as we were speaking, Napa said a lot of things about, you know, she taking things to God, she asking God for insight and all of those things. I think that those are also things that are important in our creative journey, especially as young professionals. Thank you so much, guys, for joining Dot Report today, and I'll see you on the next episode.